Kia ora. In the headlines, Syrian human rights groups say at least 34 people were killed yesterday as government forces continued attacks on rebel strongholds. Meanwhile, an angry mob prevented UN monitors from reaching the embattled western town of al-Haffeh. Media reports describe a full-scale civil war. The conflict continues to displace thousands of people each week. Around 25,000 have fled to Lebanon, and as many as 100,000 people altogether have taken refuge in other neighboring countries. In local news, more ACC board members are terminating their service. Ralph Stewart has announced he will leave ACC just 8 months into his role as CEO. That's within a day of the chairman announcing his departure. Minister Judith Collins has some sympathy for the embattled Mr. Stewart.
I've simply said to Mr. Stewart, was he sure of that decision? And he was. And actually I feel quite sorry for Mr. Stewart. He's had a tough time.
The opposition is baying for more blood. Labour MP Andrew Little says more ACC managers need to resign over the privacy breaches in order to effect a true culture change.
They ought to be feeling a pretty chill wind around their necks as well, and I think there are some of his senior managers who haven't served the organisation well.
The man who evaded police for 4.5 days after allegedly shooting at an officer has appeared in the Auckland District Court. Mari Toliafoa's lawyer says his client will defend the attempted murder charge he faces. The 30-year-old has been remanded in custody until early July, when he will enter a formal plea. Pokey machine operators are being warned to adhere to the law around lobbying. Minister of Internal Affairs TREMAIN says concerns have been raised that some representations made against the Gambling Amendment Bill have misused gaming machine money.
The department has written to all gaming machine societies to remind them that gaming proceeds cannot be used for lobbying.
Up to 50,000 people who care for their disabled relatives could receive government payments after the Health Minister's U-turn on court action. A special advisory group will be set up to determine eligibility, but Tony RYALL is stressing that the policy will have to be affordable.
The court has ruled it's a discrimination if the Ministry of Health is prepared to pay for someone to come into your house to provide care for your disabled adult child. You should be able to get that pay.
Tenders are open for mineral exploration and development in Northland. Energy Minister and Whangarei MP Phil HEATLEY says that will help the country realise the significant economic potential for the region.
Increased minerals development in Northland's expected to provide many more jobs, can contribute to more infrastructure, will inject income directly into the local economy.
5-year exploration permits will be awarded to successful bidders next April. Stephen Houseman has been discharged after pleading guilty to driving charges over a crash that killed 3 of his friends. The Boston University student was driving a camper van which overturned last month near Turangi. He has also been disqualified from driving for 6 months and must pay $132 in court costs. The Prime Minister expects that opposition claims on the Sky City Convention Centre deal are about to be disproved. John Key says he's genuinely glad of the inquiry into how the gambling operator was selected for the project and how all other proposals for the scheme were assessed.
There's been a lot of statements made by opposition parties which have been factually incorrect, and the great thing about this is the Auditor General will be able to demonstrate to everybody those statements are incorrect.
The EMA is welcoming job advertisements that will boost work opportunities for disabled people. It's pointing to a British scheme where a 2-ticks symbol guarantees interviews for disabled applicants who meet the job criteria. With a skills shortage looming, David Lowe expects that employers here will adopt the practice and set themselves apart.
Stand out as a preferred employer. One of the ways of doing that is to say we are interested in supporting people with disabilities.
Auckland's mayor is on a mission to reduce drunken misbehaviour in the city centre. A task force aims to deal with problems such as vomiting on footpaths and public brawls. Possible solutions are more community patrols, a better nighttime bus service, tighter parking limits around hotspots, and a voluntary one-way door policy for bars. While we're trying to curb excessive alcohol consumption, debate is raging in New York on whether to ban extra-large soft drinks in delis, cafes and restaurants. That's in a bid to curb obesity. Health authorities are all for it, but critics say adults should be able to choose their own drink size. Well, those are the headlines from the RBG News Centre. Ka kite anō.